Welcome back to Aaron's 1972 Datsun 510. Be very quiet. I don't want the 510 to hear us. Today, we're going to do rust repair on it. It's right behind me, isn't it? He's right behind me. So in today's video, we're going to go ahead and finish this front patch panel, I hope. And then if we get that done and we get enough time, we're going to move to the other side of the car. Wow, I don't know if you can see just all this crap buildup right here, but that is ludicrous. So I'm gonna try to clean it off with a scrub brush, or not scrub brush. I'm gonna try to clean that off with a wire brush and then sort of maybe attack it from the other side, see if I can get a piece on there to sort of screw or unscrew this bolt, because that is ludicrous how crazy it is. These are all brass, which are a little bit lighter than what I really feel like I need. That's better than what it was. So you can see just with the wire brush, a little bit better. I'm gonna try to find a better wire brush and continue moving forward. GoPro, stop recording. Okay, so I'm gonna take this 15mm nut that I've drilled out just some of the threads so I can slip it over. I'm going to slip it onto the little bit that's left. I'm gonna weld into the center here, hoping to catch the remainder of the stud and then the nut itself in order to then get a 15mm end wrench on this and loosen it out. My camera died, but I was on a roll, so I just kept moving forward. I got out all of these. I actually just used my vice grips and pinched the part that was sticking out, since the bolt head was already broken off on this side, and just rotated them out. For the one that had not very much sticking out, I actually took my welder out, welded just a little extra bit on there that I could latch onto, and then spun it out the rest of the way. And now all of these are out. As well as the big bolts down there. So hopefully that helps someone. If you break off these, break them all off or get them all off the fender and then attack them from this side, because this is the side that's going to be rustiest. So if you can bring them out this way, you don't have to try to bring the rusty threads through the nut, the captive nut itself. But yeah, so now we continue to move forward. So this was the big sort of nightmare thing that I didn't want to deal with. Now I'm going to cut out the rest of the front piece. The attempt to cut out spot welds was largely ineffective, which means that I largely went to using my angle grinder and then a chisel to break these pieces off and move them out of the way. The rust and metal underneath was bad enough that it was actually fairly easy to get these pieces out of the bottom side of the car. The metal did, however, warp some, and so you'll see me trying to straighten it a little bit with a hammer as I clear out the rest of these pieces. Even after all that poking and prodding, I still have just, you know, rust flakes, and I blew out as much as I could with, you know, the air compressor. So now that I've bent this piece back, the one of my smaller hoses will fit in here, and so I'm going to run my vacuum hose as best I can through into here, and then I'm going to even blow with compressed air into the other side. So hopefully we'll get out more of the crap that's in here. So there's not any nasty crap waiting inside there. All right, as I'm vacuuming out the rest of those parts and then getting the pieces formed back into shape, I just want to say thank you to all my followers out there that watch these videos. I know there's about 40 to 50 of you that usually watch my videos within the first 24 hours, and that really means I really hope that you've been enjoying the fact that I've moved to a weekly content, and I really am excited to continue to grow this channel. I've seen an influx of quite a few more subscribers, so now we're over the 600 mark, and we're closely climbing. We are quickly climbing towards that 1,000 subscriber mark, which I'm really excited about. So thanks for all that you do and watching these videos, and feel free to tell people about my channel. But as you see, I'm just hammering away here on this car, pun intended, and also love to see that rust pick up right there. Well, I got all the remainder of the sort of crap metal out of there. There's still a little bit of not super great metal, but I think it'll be fine. I've got to get in under the hood and sort of tap that back out flat whenever I go to put the new piece on. But I'm going to rust mort this, which you see I've got my rust mort right here. Sort of getting the channel here and right here. I will rebuild out this piece first, so I'll weld this piece on. Just sort of the flange that goes out right here. Then I will attach this piece along the top, which will go up to about here, and then I'll bend the piece out, like so I'll add an additional piece that goes out and goes over the top here to sort of form an L shape, and then it'll come out and go along the top here. I will cut this piece off. I'm looking at it now, like just to give myself a smooth surface to go here, and I'll probably grind off that weld, just so I've, again, got a flat surface to go to, or a mainly straight line to go along. After I let the rust mort set in, after I paint it on, I'll make a template of the piece that I'm going to cut out, and we will cut it out and then weld it in. This looked like it was 2 pieces, but I think it was 2 pieces because fixed job on it, where they just welded a new piece on top of this. I'm going to take a look online and see if I can find anything that would maybe indicate whether this was originally 3 pieces thick or just 2. This week I had a good reminder of why I do the things I do. So I took a little bit of a break over the last couple days from working on the car. I have been just crushing the work on this car. But it was time for me to take a little bit of a break, even though I've only been back at it for about a month and a half now. But I have, in the past month, gotten the rocker panel on, the rear fender, sort of done the trunk, got here, done a few other things, fixed the Z, done some work on the Weiss Figaro. I was just tired. And so I took a break over the weekend, went to a couple car shows, talked to a few new people. It really energized me. So just make for sure that you guys are renewing your love of your car and your passion to do all these projects. I know sometimes I get in the slog of just creating these videos that I forget that I have my own sense of humor, and I want to make for sure that shows in these videos, right? That I love this car, and I love all the things that I am doing. I look at where I was at just 2 years ago whenever I first started this part of the project, and I was scared to weld anything in the car, and now I'm perfectly comfortable in making these patch panels and welding them in. Yeah, it still doesn't go perfect every time, but it never does. That's fine. I just want to encourage you to look at that project that you're doing and to be like, I can totally do this. I can do this. So, good luck. First, we're going to repair this piece coming out of the frame, and then we'll bring the actual cover down over here to close in this frame piece. It shouldn't take more than a couple different pieces of metal, but we are going to have to drill some holes in order to ensure that we've got spots for the bolts that hold the bumper on. And we're also going to have to ensure that we just get it secured in this area. But the front of the car should be a lot stronger in this area whenever we get done. So first, we're actually going to make a few templates out of paper. So So the simple thing to do whenever we're making a template is to use the flat edge of the paper to go along the rail here, shape the front piece into the piece that we want, and then cut it out of um, paper after we use just our finger to sort of um, create a crease on the paper right along the line of where we're going to be welding it to the old metal. So that's what we'll do. So I've got the large piece cut out, and I've got the small piece cut out. Small piece, I'm gonna go right there. Looks like I can already tell you that I probably need to cut maybe a little bit off of it. So I can do that. And then the large piece, I'm gonna have to bend right along here, but it's gonna go right there. Should slide into there, right into there. I'm gonna have to cut that weld out anyway to slide it in. There we go. That's where that's going to go. So I'll cut that weld out. That looks like it'll actually fit pretty well. I'll go ahead and drill some holes in here for different spot welds as well, and clear the other side, and then bend this piece as well. So, but yeah, that's going to go there. This is going to go here, like so. And that's what we'll do. But I'm going to go ahead and get the tin snips and see if I can just trim a tiny bit off of this one. So I'm going to go with the thin end. Just about 1/4 inch off. I don't think this is going to work. Metal's just too thick for these tin snips. Yeah, too thick. I'll use the cutoff wheel. We'll do that. But that's how that's going to sit. Again, I'll cut that weld and then see how this slips right into place here. Figure out all my spots for different spot welds along this path, and we'll go from there. But that's I'm actually pleasantly surprised with how that's sitting in there right now. So we'll keep moving forward. So literally no one has asked me, but I got this metal from a metal shop here in Las Vegas. I just went there and said, hey, I need a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet of metal, and it needs to be approximately this thickness. And they said, come on out to the back and let's look. And so we looked, and then I said, this one. And it was probably a little bit too thick, but what's done is done. So yeah, I use the paper template to ensure that I've got the right size, and then I use my drill bit to go ahead and step drill the plug welds throughout this surface, so that way I can put them together. Once I get that all test fit and mocked up together, I clean off the piece and I will paint the back side of it so that way I can weld it into place. This weld through primer that I'm using, guys, I do not like. I was using copper weld through primer, and I really liked that stuff. It wasn't perfect, but it worked much better. This stuff just constantly gives me frustration, so I would not suggest using it. It's like the Duplicolor weld stuff. I'll put a picture up here on the screen. On second thought, no, I won't. Here's the picture of the copper weld stuff that I used that I liked. If you're going to use something, I suggest using this. good luck out there. I'm paid in no way to provide this recommendation. That's just what I've found useful. I'm actually quite proud of some of those welds. Right here, this stack just really laid very well. This, not quite so much. But that's down. It's solid. I still got a stitch to that, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to take this piece, which I've put plenty of air holes here for plug welds. I'll also stitch weld it here, and then the two big holes for the bolts. So what I have to do is sort of slide it in at an angle, place it in like that, sort of get it aligned just right, and then I'll clip it or clamp it up at the front, tack it back in at the back end, and then I will push this piece after like the bottom. I will actually fold it down and push it back in after I get the top tacked in. Is the way that I'll do that. Before I do this though, I'm going to go ahead and shoot rubber under or rubber coating inside the frame here, as well as inside this channel here, so that way I've got it nice and sealed. So that's what I'm doing next. I found that in order to weld these pieces to each other, that I will usually be able to find one that's closest, plug weld it into place, and then use a hammer and punch to sort of drive back the piece just a little bit in order to make for sure that it's flush around where I'm going to plug weld it. Once I do that, I move forward on the piece that I'm welding on. This ensures that the pieces are butted up together, and also works whenever you have sort of a little bit harder of an area that you can't get a dolly behind in order to do that additional level of flattening to make for sure that there's minimal gap between your pieces. So that's what you see me doing there with the little sledge as well as the punch. You know, I was just thinking about it, and I haven't done a call out to YouTubers here in a while, and so I just wanted to remind you guys that there are some great people making some great videos out there. They've in no way asked me to do this, but if you like car builds, I would check out Brad Builds, who's working on a 240Z right now. He's a bigger channel than me, and he's really cruising on up, and it looks like he's going to do some really good work on his Z. 240Z built by me is a guy working on a green Z as well. Definitely a really cool build. And then don't forget to check out my all-time favorites of Bad Obsession Motorsports, Home Built by Jeff, as well as Soup Classic Motoring, which is by far my favorite YouTube channel of all time. Go check him out. Definitely worth the watch. His editing is better than anyone else I have ever seen, hands down. So I got the front piece in, along with the lower piece there. I'm not going to clean up these welds all crazy nice. This is the underside of the car. I don't necessarily care. I do want to come through with some seam sealer tomorrow, sort of clean up that spot. I'll also probably put some seam sealer in here. This was a earlier fix that I made in the car. I don't want water to be able to come up here and sort of sit in this and mess up this. But the piece is in. Fit in pretty well. I was able to get quite a few plug welds here. A couple of the middle ones didn't really work out as well, but all in all, fantastic. Hit it with some self-etching primer and some black. I'm done on this side of the car. Aaron, note to yourself, this needs to go before the rest of the video here. Welcome back to Aaron's 1972 Datsun 510. It's right behind me, isn't it? Oh gosh. It's still here. It's still on jack stands, just like it's been for a while. Today, we're going to go ahead and tackle the front patch pieces that I actually got set up the other day, but just needed to take a break for a little bit.